they were allowed to have this app that exists basically for the purpose of doxing men. And with the way that the app is, the men themselves have absolutely no way of even knowing if they're on the app, what's being said about them on the app, whether it's true or not. These men cannot defend themselves. Apparently, what happened was somebody realized that all of the verification photos, all the photos of women's IDs were being stored in a completely unsecured database. So somebody discovered that and got all the photos and leaked them on 4chan. But with that said, yeah, most of them probably deserved it. The gender reverse of this app would never have been allowed to exist. There's this new app, it's called T, and basically, well, let's hear it described in their own words. So the description they put on the App Store: are we dating the same guy? Ask our anonymous community of women to make sure your date is safe, not a catfish, and not in a relationship. Users can access a nationwide forum of posts and can set alerts for a man's name so you can never miss any tea about your potential date, ex, or partner, and so you can make sure they are not a cheater. Users can anonymously ask for dating and relationship advice to find support and empowerment from our community of verified women. So basically what this app is it's an app for women to post men's personal information and pictures, and they could even post rumors or whatever about men, and it's a women's only app. So in order to even use the app, you're actually required to prove that you're a woman by submitting a photo and a picture of your driver's license or your photo ID to verify that you're a woman. So basically, there's all these different men that have profiles created for them on this app that women can post whatever they want about these men, any accusations they want, and the men themselves have absolutely no recourse to even see what is being posted about them. And they have no way to contest any of the accusations that are made against them. Okay, so one way to look at it is that it's an app made for women to dox men. And geez, I hope that doesn't backfire. Oh, yeah. So apparently what happened was this app, as soon as it came out, it quickly rose to the top of the App Store, became the #1 most downloaded app. But it was a very popular app. It looks like it had 1.6 million users. And it's funny because on their website in the About section, it has this thing. It says, share experiences and seek advice within a secure, anonymous platform. But apparently, what happened was somebody realized that all of the verification photos, all the photos of women's IDs were being stored in a completely unsecured database. So somebody discovered that and got all the photos and leaked them on 4chan. And again, the photos were in an unsecured database, okay? So it wasn't even, this isn't even a case of hacking. Okay, nobody had to hack anything to get these photos. They were just there. Somebody just had to figure out what the URL was. So now, I know a lot of people will say that these women that joined this obviously unethical app, a lot of people would say they deserve what they got. They deserve to get doxxed. Now, me personally, I would say I am against doxing, even in this case. Okay, so that is my official position. Now, with that said, I think it's safe to assume there were lots of women that joined this app just to spread rumors about their ex that they had a bad breakup with. I think it's safe to assume there are some crazy girlies out there that they just wanted to spread rumors about their ex-boyfriend that left them for whatever reason, and they just want to create a profile for him on this site and say, he's been to prison, he's actually an ex-convict, he murdered somebody, and just whatever other nonsense they want to spread. Okay, so obviously there are women that were using this app nefariously, unethically. Well, there is no ethical usage of the app, I will say that. But of course, there were women using this app that we can say probably deserved the consequences they got. With that said, I would still say overall the doxing is not good, just because with 1.6 million women having used this app and had their information doxed, you've got to assume that some amount, it may be a small portion, but you've got to assume that some amount of those women, maybe just signed up to the app just to look at it and see what it is, and there may be some women that, like, imagine if you were a guy and you were worried that your crazy ex had put false information about you on this app, so you get your mom or your sister or somebody to create an account on this using her ID for verification so that you can look at your own profile. Okay? So in that case, your mom or sister, whoever it is, that helped you look at the app, that's messed up for her to get doxxed alongside all these other women, right? So obviously that's going to be a small number of the women that got doxxed through this app, but some of them will fit into that camp. So for that reason, I don't think it's okay to dox these people. But with that said, yeah, most of them probably deserved it. Now, I just want to talk a bit about this app in general and just the way that, this app, it very quickly got extremely popular, rose to the top of the App Store. And it's just so crazy that this was even allowed to exist on the App Store to begin with. Imagine if somebody created the same exact app, but gender reversed, right? So imagine if there was an app where the entire purpose of the app, it was men only, okay? So you have to verify you're a man to use it. And then the whole purpose of the app is to just have profiles so we can share information about different women we know in real life. And we can share this information just amongst men. You can have a profile for a woman and then all these guys can post like, yeah, I went to high school with her and she got a train run on her by the whole football team, right? That app would be deleted, terminated from the App Store immediately. The freaking director of the United Nations would probably sign a proclamation declaring that the freaking APK files for the app get deleted off of every hard drive in the world. It would obviously, very obviously, we all know this, the gender reverse of this app would never have been allowed to exist. And I've heard some people argue that, well, this app was new, so it probably will get deleted for... No. We live in a gynocentric society. I say this all the time, and I think a lot of people don't really believe it, but this app is a great example of that. They were allowed to have this app that exists basically for the purpose of doxing men, and with the way that the app is, the men themselves have absolutely no way of even knowing if they're on the app, what's being said about them on the app, whether it's true or not. These men cannot defend themselves. This is very, very obviously an unethical thing. And I don't think there's anybody that could look at this and just see the description of this app and actually think like, oh yeah, this is good. This is a good thing. This is helping women. This is protecting women. Because it's not. This is ridiculous. And I do understand, especially with people doing online dating, I do understand that there are times, and this goes both ways, it happens to men, it happens to women, but there are times a woman is doing online dating and she meets a guy, he seems like a good guy from his profile on Tinder or whatever, and it turns out, oh, maybe he was actually a registered sex offender. And he was lying about it, and she didn't know that he's actually a horrible guy. Sure, that happens, and that's bad, okay? So that's the problem that this app is trying to solve. The problem with it is that when you create an app like this, where men aren't even allowed to see what's being said about them on it, and they have no way to defend themselves, obviously, a lot of innocent men are going to get caught up in that, okay? And it's crazy because it just seems so clear to me. You could create an app very similar to this that would not have these ethical issues. Okay, you want to know what it is? Imagine the same app, but men and women are both allowed to use it and join it. You know, men can post about women, women can post about men, and have a way that someone can search for their own name on there and see their own profile and give people the ability to contest any information on there. You know, give people the ability to try to defend themselves. I think there still may be some ethical issues with that. You know, I haven't really sat down and thought this out, but that would at least be a whole lot better than this. And I think that's it's obvious you should give people the ability to defend themselves. And the other thing about this, you know, I've seen people online mention this, but I think this is also pretty obvious. You know, women will be using this app to talk trash about a guy that they were dating, that they found out was also dating multiple other women, and they'll get on there and talk about this. Then, but here's the problem. If the guy is a very attractive man and a very charming man, a Chad, so to speak, having a profile on this site that says all these bad things about him, even if it's all true, right? A woman can see that, know all the bad things about Chad, and she's still gonna go out with him. She's still gonna give him the benefit of the doubt. Okay? So, you all know I hate to use words like this because I feel deeply in my heart that it's wrong. This app is fucking retarded. The whole idea behind this app is retarded. And the crazy thing is, this app was created by a man. This guy, Sean Cook, is the founder of the T app, and apparently he created this after witnessing his mother's terrifying experience with online dating, not only being catfished, but unknowingly engaging with men who had criminal records. Okay, so I don't know, maybe somebody should create an app where in order to join, you have to verify you're not a tech CEO, and it's an app where we can just talk shit and spread information, valuable information that people need to know about tech CEOs like Sean Cook. Long ass neck having giraffe looking head ass. I mean, look, this guy right here, not a good person, okay? You're freaking evil, my man. How could you create an app like this and think you're doing a good thing? You didn't. There's absolutely no way in hell that Sean Cook thought that he's actually helping protect people with this, right? It's very obvious that the way this app is set up, that it is rife for misuse. And there's no way that anybody could look at how this app is set up and not realize that. It's just very obvious. So what this guy, Sean Cook, was doing, he's knowingly creating this very unethical app that is obviously going to be used to harm the reputations of innocent men. Okay? And I'm not saying all the men on there that people are saying things about. Look, there's probably some true evil, manipulative men on there that people were spreading true information about, okay? That, I'm sure, yes. But, again, with the way the app is set up, with how it works, obviously, there's going to be some innocent men having some BS rumors and lies spread about them just by some woman he had a one-night stand with 6 years ago that's still mad about it. But I don't want to denigrate Sean Cook too much, because I do wonder, just with the way that all of the verification photos and ID photos, they were just stored in a completely unsecured database. I mean, that it was obviously going to get hacked at some point, or not even hacked. It was going to be discovered at some point. With the way that there was just absolutely no security measures on this, I do wonder if Sean Cook's intention the entire time was to set all these women up to get doxxed. He's a sleeper agent, right? Maybe he's on our side. Maybe he's one of the boys. Sean Cook, one of the boys, he's on our side, okay? Sean Cook is, Agent 007 misogyny. This guy's here trying to take down all of these lying, cheating thoughts, trying to take down all these rumors spreading, gossiping little birds. Just, what a great guy. Sean Cook, what a great guy. You're a good guy. You gotta respect it. You gotta respect it. Now, I was looking at the reviews for this app, and there were some things that I thought was interesting. Okay, so I found this one-star review where someone basically says, it's a place for jealous ex-girlfriends to post bad things, and I'm not going to read all this, but basically what they said in the review is that they know a guy who discovered that there was just false accusations being made about him on the app. And then the developer responded to this review and they said, "Hi there, we have a zero tolerance policy for defamatory content on our app. Can you send us an email at whatever, and can you provide the details so we can look into this situation?" Okay, so they're trying to act like, hey, we actually don't allow content like that on our app. But here's the thing. As stated in this review, the person's friend that had the accusations being made against him on the app, the only way he was able to look at the app was he had a female friend, had to, put her information in it and verify herself. And of course, by now she got doxxed, so, she got screwed over. But he had to have a woman help him to even be able to see what is being said about him on this app. Okay? So for the developer to respond to this, "Hi there, we have a zero tolerance policy for defamatory content on our app." Well, you've made your app in a way that people can't even view defamatory content about them without having someone else they know verify their ID so they can look at it. You can't say we have a zero tolerance policy for defamatory content on our app when you don't even allow people that could potentially being defamed on your app to even look at the content about them on the app. You can't call that a zero tolerance policy. Fuck you. Here's another one-star review. It says, "Needs checks and balances. I have a friend that did not gel with a girl, was very respectful to her, but decided not to pursue. As a result, the girl wrote a very false and negative review about him. The app allows slander without any review. Yada, 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 yada." Yeah. Yes, of course. Of course that happens on this app. Of course that happens. Just by how the app is, duh, that's gonna happen. I mean, the biggest duh in the world. Anybody could see that obviously that would happen. Like, that is clear as day, big time, duh. That's duh. That's how the app is set up, is for that to be a thing that can happen. And again, I don't think it's doing the right thing to dox all the ID verification photos of all the women that were using this app. Because like I say, there are going to be some women in the mix there that weren't actually doing anything wrong, and they were just verified themselves on the app to let a man that they know look at his own profile. You know, there were women that were just like helping a guy, and they had to verify themselves on this app to help a guy they know look at what was being posted about him. So if you are someone that you want to go through and look at all the ID photos and everything of these women, just keep in mind that some of them, some number, probably not many, probably a small portion, some of them are innocent in this, okay? They're not all bad. So, and that is, in general, that is one of the problems with doxing, okay? And with that said, most of them deserved it. I think we can say that most of them deserved it. So, I will say that. But it's just, if you don't think that we live in a gynocentric society, if you really don't think that, then just look at this situation. Just look at this app. This was allowed by Apple. Apple allowed this app to be on their App Store. Google allowed this app to be on the Google Play Store. You know, Google, who also owns YouTube, Google, the same company that terminates my channel and it terminates videos on my channel from time to time for supposed hate speech, this company allows this fucking doxing app on their app store. It was there for months. They allowed it to be there. They allowed there to be this app just for women to spread malicious information, malicious false information about any man they choose. From the start, this app is obviously very unethical. And I don't think anybody in the world could see. It's just like the perfect example of how gynocentric all the institutions, corporations, and everything in our society is. The fact that this app has been allowed to exist for months and months and just become extremely popular, and it's been allowed to exist with, like, we all know if you created the gender reverse of this app, it would get taken down immediately. So why is this allowed? Why in our society, all of Western society, women do not have the same rules as men? Women are allowed to do things that men are not allowed to do. And men are not even allowed to defend themselves against women when women harm them. I don't know. That's about all I have to say about that.